Welcome, families. We are here tonight to talk about gifted learning. I am Katrina, and I just want to introduce our presenters tonight. We have Robin Weatherall and Erin Shoemaker, and both of them are IGNITE teachers. Both of them are moms. Robin is also a grandma, but they are here to share their wisdom on how to school and challenge gifted learners. So I'm going to hand the stage over to Erin and Robin, and just thank you guys in advance for coming and sharing your wisdom with us.
Okay, before we get started, I'm Robin, by the way, and I just wanted to tell you that we're going to be stopping between each section to ask if you have any questions. Katrina said that she will monitor the chat box, so if you don't want to ask them in person but want her to be your voice, she's willing to do that, and we'll do our best to answer your questions. We'll also have time for questions at the end, and just so you know, our focus is elementary students, so we might have some information for you for the higher grades, but our focus is elementary.
Okay, and hi, I'm Erin Shoemaker, and we are happy to be with all of you tonight. And like Robin said, just ask us your questions and we'll see if we have the knowledge to get an answer for you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You can see all the junk in my background. Okay. I'm going to move everybody down to the bottom.
Okay, so we're just going to start with a definition from NAGC. What is giftedness? Gifted students perform at a higher level than others. Giftedness can be in a specific area and not necessarily all areas. So students with gifts and talents come from all racial, ethnic, and cultural populations, as well as economic strata, require sufficient access to appropriate learning opportunities to realize their potential, can have learning and processing disorders that require specialized intervention and accommodation, need support and guidance to develop socially and emotionally, as well as in their areas of talent.
Okay, it's important to know that when we look at qualifications for the gifted program, that schools emphasize math and reading, and so that is where our qualifications fall. There are many areas that you can be gifted in, but the IGNITE program in the elementary school is offered for students who have high achieving and ability scores mostly in math and in reading. So if you are looking at gifted scores, you need to have 196 percentile in an achievement test in either reading or math. And the schools offer fast bridge testing for second grade and MAP testing for 3 through 6. And I believe homeschool does the same thing. Is that right, Katrina? Okay, and then also we as IGNITE teachers provide a test in the Iowa test for achievement. And we also need 296 percentiles in the ability on either a verbal, a quantitative or math score, or a nonverbal score. And we have 3 different tests that we give. One of them is a cognitive abilities test. And on that, you can qualify in either of the 3 areas or in combinations thereof. We give a test called an InView, and that really is a nonverbal section and a verbal section. So you can either qualify on the total battery or qualify in each of the sections. And we give what is called a Kaufman Brief Intelligence Test. And in that one, you can qualify on a composite, the whole test. And in a typical year, IGNITE services are offered 2 hours a week outside of the regular classroom for 2nd through 6th graders. And so what we do is we have IGNITE students who come to us as part of their curriculum. And Charter schools and homeschool students can also attend IGNITE at their home school. In order to qualify for IGNITE for your homeschool, you need to dual enroll in the school that you're zoned for, and then you can get tested by the IGNITE teacher at your zoned school. And then if your student does qualify, they would go to IGNITE with peers that are in the same age range as them. So you would be able to bring them to school and leave them at school for 2 hours for the IGNITE program. We also look at qualification for the highly gifted program. And the highly gifted program is at Rogers Park Elementary School. Qualifications require a teacher recommendation and meeting the following score criteria. For K2, students need 198th percentile achievement score in either broad reading or broad math on those same tests we talked about, and 198th percentile in the ability section on one of those tests that we talked about. Then they are referred for an IQ test, and they need to score 99 percentile on the IQ test, which is a full scale of 133. For highly gifted 3rd through 6th graders, they need 2 98% achievement scores in broad reading and in broad math, 199% ability score, and 199% IQ score. So it's important to note that we as IGNITE teachers are not qualified to give the IQ test. So as we're testing students for the IGNITE program, if we have students that fall under these categories, we refer them, we talk to you as a parent first, and if you're interested, we refer them for IQ testing by a person who's certified to administer the tests. Also, as IGNITE teachers, we do not test kindergarten and 1st grade students. Those are tested by a district-wide tester, and she does travel to home schools, to the school that you're zoned at, for testing of those students. And another thing to mention regarding IGNITE is 2nd graders are tested in the fall, and then they start attending IGNITE in the spring or in January, 2nd semester.
I think we should also add with the testing at this point, we are not able to be working on our caseloads. The testing has been on a hold since we did not return a year ago after spring break. So the caseloads are really high, and we're just waiting to hear if they're going to grant us the permission to begin testing again. There is testing for the highly gifted program that is going on as typical testing, but for IGNITE, we are on a hold.
So we wanted to stop there and ask if there are any questions of used to teaching students, if parents have any questions regarding qualification for the gifted program.
One question is if the testing has to be in person.
Yes. Okay, I'm not sure how to say your name. Bao?
How?
Bao, okay.
I have a question. One of my kids has already been tested before COVID, I think when she was in 5th grade, and she is in the IGNITE program. How does that work if she's already in there?
I'm not sure what your question is. So has she been attending IGNITE this year? Did she attend it last year?
She attended last year.
Okay, so this year we're in a really strange situation in that they're not letting us, in many cases, you know, we've been online for testing, and since we've been back, we have different schools doing different things. Some schools are letting their IGNITE teacher pull just the students from that school and pull different students from a class at a time. Some schools are continuing with Zoom, and some schools like my school, they are not letting us work with students at all in person or on Zoom for the rest of the year. So we're providing enrichment. I'm providing enrichment via packets and putting things on Canvas. I know Erin, one of her schools, she's able to meet with kids in person, but her other schools are either on Zoom, or she's also providing enrichment via packets. So your IGNITE teacher should have been working with your child up until when everybody went back to school, at least online. Correct?
Okay,
And in a normal year, what would happen at the beginning of the school year is, even though you're enrolled with Family Partnership, you would contact your IGNITE teacher at your neighborhood school and say, I would like to participate with IGNITE. This year is just strange, so it didn't work exactly that way. But we have a question that is, why is this by school and not district-wide?
You mean services? Is that services? That's a very good question. We don't know.
I have a question. Oh, I don't interrupt anybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was the one that asked about being, I guess, if they have to be face-to-face for testing. I guess my question is, like, is there another route? Because the whole reason we're homeschooling is so we're not going into the school. And so my concerns are, I'm not sure if we're going to be going back to school next year. You might continue to homeschool. And I guess I don't know where to go because I have a current first grader, so he would probably be up for it because I've been told since he's been in preschool, he needs to be tested. So we were going the either this route or having him see if he was, I don't know, you said it earlier, not gifted, but above, I can't remember what you just said. Yes, and so highly gifted. So we have been told since before he walked through the kindergarten door that he needed to be tested, but we were hesitant because we wanted to keep with our school and see what was going on. And obviously with pursuing him going into second grade, my concern is the whole reason I don't want him to go to school is because I don't want him to be around people. So I don't want to put him in the testing zone, whether it's in the building where they're getting their COVID shots, whatever, what have you. So I don't know if there's something they're implementing maybe for next year to see. I just don't know what our options are because I can't really, not that it's you guys, I just have a problem with saying, hey, you know, to my son, you can't go anywhere, but you're going to go to a room by yourself with somebody you don't know, never seen before, wear a mask and do all this when we haven't really been doing that because of the sole reason. So I wasn't sure if there's maybe something that will possibly implemented so that he can be tested, because I feel like, I don't know if everybody else feels this way, but I feel like we're kind of struggling with, am I challenging him enough right now? So I don't know what there'll be, if anything, or if I'm just kind of like figure it out as we go kind of a thing.
Well, the reason that we don't test online is because it would jeopardize the test itself. The test is, I don't want to say secretive, but the point is that other people would not see what is on the test because you could actually then study for the test or take notes on the test and prep and get a better score. So even in private settings, the testing has to be done in person. So as far as that goes, there's no way around that. As far as IGNITE goes, there is no testing happening for IGNITE right now. District-wide, there's no testing happening for IGNITE. There is testing happening for the highly gifted program. They are doing one student at a time. They're cleaning between students. I believe that you have to bring your child over to the Boniface Education Center for that. One person is testing the little kids, and then another person would be doing the IQ test, but it is really just one student at a time.
We have a question about private testing. Is it possible for parents to pursue private testing, or does it have to be done by the district?
It is possible, but I would definitely contact the gifted office directly, and they can give you more information about which tests they're accepting. So I would definitely try and have a phone call into the gifted office, say you're interested in pursuing private testing. What information do you need to take along to that person so that your tests that are being administered are accepted by the district?
Thank you guys for answering all of those testing questions. And the parents who typed a question in the chat box, I'm going to ask it at the end so that we can let Erin and Robin move on because they have so much to share with us.
These are good questions. Okay, so the next slide up here, here's a checklist from Mensa for parents to look through. And of course, students won't check off all of these, but they may hit a majority. An unusual memory, passing intellectual milestones early, reading early, unusual hobbies or interests, or an in-depth knowledge of certain subjects, intolerance of other children, an awareness of world events, set impossibly high standards, may be a high achiever, prefers to spend time with adults or in solitary pursuits, asks questions all the time, learns easily, develops sense of humor, musical, likes to be in control, makes up additional rules for games, extrovert, introvert. Okay, on this slide, this was also taken from Mensa, and the goal was to separate fact from fiction. And if you go down in the facts to the third bullet there, the gap in intellect between gifted children and average children is the same as between average children and those in special education. So that is why gifted services are necessary and why there's a powerful group of parents and educators that advocate for these students to get additional services. And this is going to be included on this slideshow so people can refer back if they want to look through these points. I won't read every point there.
And then this is a really important quote. What makes a child gifted and talented may not always be good grades in school, but a different way of looking at the world and learning. So sometimes people believe that because their child is receiving good grades, that means that they're gifted. And it really is different than that. We do have gifted underachievers, and we just have gifted students. When you're talking to them in a conversation, they really just give you answers that are unexpected. And I've learned through my time of working with students that no matter how bizarre the answer is, I ask them to explain, because there's always some connection to some connection to some connection back to what we're talking about. And so their brain has already gone through, like 4 associations to get to where they're at. And so I always ask them, can you give me more information on that? And I've never yet had a student not be able to relate it back to the conversation that we're having. So that's pretty interesting to watch. Okay, the other thing that we wanted to talk to you about is we were asked to talk about selecting curriculum. And this is an interesting thing for us because as IGNITE teachers, we come up with our own curriculum. We do not have necessarily district-wide curriculum, although a lot of us beg, borrow, and steal curriculum from each other. So you will see that different things are taught at a variety of schools. Even now during this time off, Erin and I have been working with a cohort of 7 people, and it's a much wealthier presentation when you have 7 minds together coming up with ideas to include in what you're sharing with students. But some things that we look at when we're looking at curriculum is we look at, is it age appropriate? Students may be gifted in some areas, but they're at grade level or below grade level in other areas. So we want to try and keep them challenged in their areas of strength and also help them build up the areas that they're still needing growth in. You want to make sure that curriculum is challenging, but you want to remember that students still need to learn the basics. You don't want to skip lessons, but you also don't want to belabor them. Let students advance at their own pace. A couple of things that come to mind is I used to be a Montessori teacher when I first started, and I had students in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade. I had students coming in from kindergarten who were writing big, long stories with quotation marks and with contractions. and yet they had no idea why they were using quotation marks and contractions. It was something that they had picked up by what they had read. And so they still needed the lessons of what those were, but obviously not a lot of practice in implementing them because they were implementing them correctly. You also need to remember that more is not better. Challenging curriculum does not mean more assignments. It means providing curriculum that is at their level, not just more assignments. One thing that you can do to make sure that curriculum is at your child's level is to provide open-ended curriculum. Curriculum should be expansive and not finite. Projects should be open for students to set the limit. Again, when I was a classroom teacher, I had a planet research project, and I had it geared to different levels depending on the ages, the grades the students were at. And I had a student ask me, a first grader asked me, can I do the third grade planet research? Of course you can. So I also had country research, which was pretty complex, that the older students were doing. And I wasn't going to do it with first graders because I thought it would be too difficult, but they wanted to do it. So I built, supports for them in order to do it by giving them questions where they could just answer, and then they could just write their question and answer together to help them come up with their report itself. The other thing you want to do is follow students' passions. Students need time to explore areas in which they are passionate. So if you can help them find books, websites, or activities that inspire these passions, that's a great way to go. And another thing that we really look at in our curriculum is we want to expose students to a variety of topics, to a wide range of topics. And one thing that comes to mind is last year we were studying insects, and I had students say, "Ooh, disgusting, why would we ever study insects?" And I explained to them that there's more insects on the planet than any other, living thing. And we talked all about insects, and they thought that we were studying insects because I loved them. When they found out that I didn't really love insects, they were pretty surprised. But they told me in the end they learned to appreciate and have some respect for insects. And that is really what we try to do, is over the course of a student's time in IGNITE, which could be up to 5 years, we try to come up with a variety of topics in a variety of different areas to really spark the interest and spark their thinking in different ways. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay, so we're going to talk about some specific curriculums.
Okay, it's really important for students to have experiences making mistakes. We focus on mistakes in IGNITE. This is also it's also valuable to have in your parenting toolbox to make those learning opportunities. When children struggle, it's really a key component to their learning. We don't want to rush in and save them too quickly, but we don't want them to be completely overwhelmed. So it's that balance. Again, it's a fine line that we walk. We feel it's important to let students know our role is to provide challenge. We want them to feel the struggle of learning, but we're here if they really need our help. One awesome book that helps students learn about mistakes is Splash. Even though it's geared for primary students, we use it with all of our students. So mistakes equal learning. Mistakes are a good thing when you're learning something new, as long as you remember the mistake by trying something different next time. You are training your brain. It's the best way for your brain to learn. And for a lot of our students, when we start with this focus, it's an aha, and it's a exciting thing for them to understand that they don't have to be perfect from the get-go, that these mistakes are valuable. So give your brain a workout by trying to learn many new things. Even things that are hard get easier once a stronger neural pathway is there. That's why people learn the most from struggling with complex tasks and making mistakes, not from mastering easy tasks. Go brain, go.
So another awesome book is Your Fantastic Elastic Brain. And we've used this several times throughout our curriculum. We refer back to it often. It's an awesome book by Joanne Dweck, and it's written for elementary age students. It teaches them about all the parts of the brain, what each part does, and really helps them understand that the brain is a muscle designed for growth. And if we want to grow our brains, we have to accept challenges. And so one of the other things that we work with is growth versus fixed mindset. This has been super important this year with students because we've had to be online, we've had to learn different ways of doing things. And so if you have a fixed mindset, you believe that people are born with a certain amount of intelligence and that no one can do much to change that. These people think about looking smart. If you have a growth mindset, you believe intelligence can be developed, that the brain is like a muscle. Students with a growth mindset focus on learning over looking smart. They thrive on challenges. The fixed mindset, they're afraid to ask questions in class when they don't understand. They hide, lie, or cheat when they've made a mistake. They need constant validation or rewards. They run from difficulties. Here's some other things. We look at the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset. So growth mindset, again, is intelligence can be developed. Fixed is intelligence is static. And so growth mindset, they embrace challenges versus avoiding challenges. They persist in the face of setbacks versus giving up easily. They see an effort as the path to mastery versus as fruitless or worse. They learn from criticism instead of ignoring useful feedback. They see it as negative feedback. They find lessons and inspiration in the success of others, and with a fixed mindset, they feel threatened by the success of others. So with a growth mindset, they reach ever higher levels of achievement, and with a fixed mindset, they plateau early and achieve less than their full potential. Does anybody have any questions about these curriculum ideas?
So I'm assuming that you're sharing these with us because kids who are gifted, things come easily to them. And then when they encounter something that is an area they're not gifted in, it's a challenge. And I'm guessing this based on my own children, but that's why this is such an important thing for us to share with our gifted students. Am I right?
Yes, everybody is going to hit the wall at some time. Everybody is going to find something that they're not able to do easily. And so a little joke that I tell my Ignite students is, it's my job to torture them. If they are not challenged, then I'm not doing my job. And so it's really important, even as parents, to let them struggle. They need to struggle. And like Erin was talking about, it's kind of a fine line we walk in on when to step in and help them. It's okay to make mistakes. It's important to point out your own mistakes because a lot of times gifted students are perfectionists. And so it's important for them to know that mistakes are the way that they're going to grow.
I'll just add one more little tidbit from my own experience. When I pulled my child out of public school and we started homeschooling, and I chose curriculum that was specifically at his grade level, he really struggled because it was the first time something had been so challenging. And so I really appreciate this advice because I think it would have been a lot easier if we had done a lesson on making mistakes before jumping into this curriculum that was more age appropriate for where he was. So thank you for this, ladies.
Mm-hmm. I would say for all the parents out there, this is worth looking into because there's a lot of material that goes into depth about the end result as you're trying to have a child that in the end with grit. And so looking into this research, I felt as a parent there were many beneficial aspects, right down to instead of talking to your children and saying, oh, you're so smart, you're more focusing on the process. You know, I really appreciate the way you kept with that and you didn't give up. You just kept trying. So you're you're really putting the focus on the process, not on a label that may put an expectation there. And then when they come across something they don't know, they have that voice in their head saying, does this mean I'm not smart? And so looking into this, it's wonderful parenting mantras in there to help you.
There's a lot of information on the internet about growth versus fixed mindset. There's a lot of information on the internet about grit, and they're really important to share with students. There's a great TED Talk on, was it grit, Erin?
Angela Duckworth.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of things, and it really is our mindset as well to let them fail, to let them struggle, but to know that if they really need us, that we're there. So.
And we have a question in the chat box. We have a couple. One is, how much IGNITE time should students have each week? And the parent has noticed over the past 10 years that the IGNITE program time has decreased. And then the other question is, are teachers trending towards less IGNITE style learning?
So
IGNITE is 2 hours a week. It's been that since I've been an IGNITE teacher. Most people do 2 hours a week. This year, it's different. I mean, if you're talking about it being reduced this year, my students were doing online for an hour. I think most of us were 45 minutes to an hour online, and then asynchronous work as well. But it's been pretty consistent to about 2 hours a week. Erin, what were you going to say?
what was the other question?
The next question is, are teachers trending towards less IGNITE style learning?
Would that be IGNITE teachers or your regular classroom teachers? I'm assuming
I assume
regular
classroom
classroom.
teachers.
There are so many mandates out there now that they must follow. There's a lot of emphasis on everybody across the district being at the same point, that it takes time away from the open-ended projects that would be considered more like IGNITE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very data driven. And so I would say that's fair to say, yeah, that's why for gifted students, they need an outlet like IGNITE. They need an opportunity to, if they're already hitting what they need to achieve in their classrooms, to have a chance to really have challenge and to work with other students, and also working on those social emotional aspects that we infuse into it with like this growth mindset into our curriculum that we do.
Did you say there was another question too?
I think you got most of them.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so habits of mind. These are used program-wide, and they're identified as 16 problem-solving, life-related skills necessary to effectively operate in society and promote strategic reasoning, insightfulness, perseverance, creativity, and craftsmanship. So we take these and we break them down. Robin and I, we've been focusing on one a week with our students. And this year we got a subscription to, it's called Wonder Grove, and they have little videos and curriculum for the kids.
Do you want to stop sharing and you share the Wonder Grove?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm going to click my share sound so this works well. Okay. Are you seeing the Wonder Grove site? Okay, great. So within this site, these are all videos for the 16 habits of mind. And then there's also curriculum that goes along with it. These are their newest videos. Prior to this, they had very primary geared videos, and these still go into a little bit of a, for our sixth graders, I feel like it's a bit of a stretch, but still it does an excellent job of explaining habit by habit. So we're just going to show you this one, Managing Impulsivity. It's about 3 to 4 minutes long, so you can get an idea.
When I was little, I used to be the king of timeout because I had such a hard time controlling my mouth and actions. My second grade teacher told me it's called being impulsive. I would just say and do whatever popped into my head. And my friend Chris used to have the same problem.
You're in my chair. I need you to move.
It's not your chair, it's a classroom chair.
But I wasn't done with it. I just got up to get another book.
We have to take turns, Chris.
That's not fair. It's still my turn.
But I wasn't done.
No.
And now that we're older, at least we all know how to share. Except my guitar. No one can touch my new guitar. All right? I'm looking at you, Theo. But apparently, we still need to practice managing our impulsivity sometimes. Because being able to be in control of what you say can affect what you do. I mean, we all want to be mature, right? Well then, you just can't say or do whatever comes to your mind. You have to be able to stop and control yourself. My teacher used to always tell me, Miles, count to 10 before you say or do anything. Trust me, when you stop and think before you act, you can save yourself from a lot of embarrassing situations, like the one Chris went through.
When you came back and saw Maria was in the red chair, did you ask her politely if you could have it back?
No. I told her she was in my chair and she had to get out.
Oh, you were being impulsive. Chris, the chairs belong to us all. We have to learn how to take turns and share them. And that means letting others have their turns as well.
But it's my favorite.
You were upset, but telling Maria she has to give the chair back to you isn't the right way to talk to her. You're not managing your impulsivity.
Mrs. Flowers is right. Sometimes I have to remind myself to stop and think about how I want to act in a situation. It can be hard to manage what we say and do with others. But I keep working on it. Managing impulsivity is a habit, and you have to practice to get good, just like practicing my guitar. Managing impulsivity is actually one of the habits of mind, which are all of these cool habits you need to practice to be a more effective thinker, like Chris.
Now, wasn't that much easier than fighting over it?
Managing impulsivity was much easier.
And by managing your impulsivity, you were also able to talk to Maria like a friend, instead of being demanding and rude.
I did.
You see that? Chris was able to solve the situation easily once he first managed his impulsivity, then thought about how he should handle the situation, and then calmly talked to Maria. If Chris can do that, we totally can too. Managing your impulsivity is a superpower. If you have control over yourself, it's like you have the power to figure out the next best move in any situation, because you are carefully thinking about what you're saying and doing. Plus, it's super mature to be in control of your actions. I don't want to act like a little kid anymore, so I always try to manage my impulsivity.
Okay, and then also to the side, you can see that there's, okay, hold on. You can see over here that there's extension lessons. So you could click on this and it'll go into, and I'm not sure in the screen share if it's loading these for you. Can you see these lessons? Okay, so it's gonna give you a few different options of activities that you could pull and do with your kids. So this has really been helpful for us to break down these habits, because when we go back to that chart, when you look at it, they're really geared towards adults, but we're able to break it down this way for kids. Okay, so we also wanted to share, we're doing Chess Kids. So I'm gonna move over. Robin, is there anything else I need to mention about habits?
No, I think you're good.
Okay, all right. Can
Someone
you?
just asked in the chat, and I'll answer it really quickly.
Okay.
If this was a free resource, and I Googled, and it looks like it's 110 per year. Does that sound about right? And families can use their allotment to be reimbursed for that. So if you do choose to purchase this, you would just submit for a reimbursement, and I will type in the chat box the website.
You might also want to go in on it together, because when we got it, we were told a couple of people could use the resource. Correct, Erin?
Yes.
So maybe you could go in with a family or two and then share that expense.
Right. I think the only catch was if Robin was streaming it, I wouldn't be able to stream it. So I'm not
But
sure.
we did stream it at the same time once, just so you know.
We did. So, all right. Okay, so Chess Kids, we've been using this with our students, and it's a wonderful program. I've always done chess with students, and I have a great collection of books. And I went through all my books and I realized this site has it all, which is shocking to me because I'm not really into online so much, but this site is excellent. So kids can get an account, and you as the parent, you get an account, and then the kids, you'll be the administrator of the account. And I believe there's free accounts, but then when you want the extra features, such as unlimited puzzles, then you need to pay for a gold account. So what this has in here for if you decide you want to do this with your kids, under the Learn are these lessons. And so you go to the lessons, and it takes the students, they'll work on a lesson, and they're in a sequential order, watch the lesson, and then they take a little quiz for the lesson. There's a video on the lesson, then they take a quiz. They're able to skip the video and try and test out if they want. But what's really been fascinating, I had a student tell me just today, he's like, my dad's been playing chess all his life, and he didn't know what stalemate was. And that student had gone through the lessons, had done the stalemate lesson, and had shared that with his dad. So that was really neat. So we're telling our kids, while we have this gold membership, we were able to get some kind of package deal through the gifted program. So while we have this, get in there and take the lessons before the gold membership goes away in May. So these kids can go in, if we go to play, they can play against other kids in their club, or they could play against another student that's on there. There's the only chatting that can go on are pre-fixed, like good game or well done. So they can go in, they can play that way. There's slow chess. You have 7 days for slow chess. So you can see I have a couple games going on here. This one's almost over. This student challenged me to a game, and now it's her move. So this game can go on over 7 days. We also set up tournaments. So we put our kids into clubs, and then we can go in and set up a tournament. And we've been doing 3-minute tournaments, and we'll do 3 rounds of 3-minute tournaments. And the kids that are really into chess are enjoying it. And this site itself, they are holding tournaments that you could have your kids go in and play. So there's so much in here. There's even a planner for you if you wanted to just follow through with their curriculum. And there's extra resources in there that you could go in and use. So we've been really impressed with this site, and it's fun. It's giving us feedback. I can look on here and I had 5 kids online today. This is the 30 days. These puzzles, I'm super into these puzzles. These puzzles, they tell you, okay, so you're looking for your strongest move. And then you'll make your move, and it will let you know if you made the strongest move or not. And then it lets you go back and redo and try. So it's just a great site. I don't know, are any of you already using this site? Maybe some of you have already using this. And I'm gonna.
So can we use, if we're already a part of the IGNITE program, can we use our school's IGNITE license to log into this, or how does it work?
If your
Do the students have access to the lessons? Can you go into a student, Erin, and see?
Sure.
We can impersonate students and see what they do. So if she goes in as a student, we'll see if you have access to the lessons.
Okay, so this student, I think this student is with Family Partnership. So we go impersonate.
And so.
And now what are we looking to see? If they
have the lessons.
Well, he would have the lesson because
but I mean the parent lessons.
Okay.
We have one more question. If you were to go out and purchase this for your child, then you would not have access to play other kids, or is there a function where you can connect with other kids to play chess if you're purchasing this individually?
You can go on the site and connect. And the other thing is, don't purchase it right away. You can get on it for free, and you get the first 6 lessons for free. You get 3 puzzles a day for free. You can play Vision for free. So I would, if you're interested, I would go on and explore it and do all the free options first and see how that works for you. So it's a little test that you can do to see if your child's going to want to use it. And then you could purchase the gold membership if you're interested in that.
And there is a way for them to request, like I could send to Robin, if I know that she's on Chess Kids and I know her chess kid, I could send a note to her. And then if she accepts the note, because this T. Reich, she's an IGNITE teacher. So I sent her, would you want to, take a chess challenge? And then she accepted it back. So it has to be a 2-way. And then I'm receiving notifications if any of my students are playing another student, like maybe it's a cousin, I'm immediately shot an email that Robin is playing with Katrina. So you're able to monitor it that way.
But
Rob,
again,
can you tell us one more time what's free? What's on the free version?
Well, I wanted to say again, if they are playing like a stranger, they can't share any information with them. Every comment that they have is a preset comment. So they really can just hit a button of what they want to say. So what you get for free is you get 6 lessons, which are the introductory lessons regarding how the pieces move. And so that comes with a video for each of those, and then the quizzes for those. You get 3 puzzles a day, and Erin showed you the puzzles. So each new day you can do 3 new puzzles. You can play against a bot. They've got the robots. And I don't know if you can play all the bots, but you can play a few. You can play against other kids. You can play this thing called Vision, which is kind of a quick test to see how fast you can find the squares on a chessboard. So all of those you get for free. So I would suggest if you're interested, do the freebie first, spend a week or 2 on the freebie, however long it takes to get through those. And then if that looks like something that's going to work for you, then purchase the gold membership. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. I'm going to show you something else that we've been using this year. And this also is a cost for it. Because we're with the district and there's usually a few of us that go in together, we get a cheaper deal. And that is something to think about, Katrina. If multiple people wanted to go in together as family partnership on some of these, you can get a better deal for that. And you could also say it's with the school district because they might be able to hook you up kind of in relation to the IGNITE site, the IGNITE group that got a better deal. Just a thought there. Okay, so this is Breakout EDU. And this game, this site, you can play games either where you print them off and you can play them in person, or you can play digital games. And so one of the things that we really spent time this year looking for was digital sites. So these are some of the different sections that you can go to. These are all the way from kindergarten level up to at least junior high. Erin, do you know if it goes to high school? I can't remember if I saw any high school. I think there are high school actually. But you can see when you get in there the different levels. And so one of our searches we did was voting in November. And if you look, you pull something up and it'll show you if it's digital or not. It tells you what the content area is, what the grade level is, and then the standards. I'm not sure what those standards are, but social studies standards. And then you can see all the different levels of voting. Okay, so one of them that we did was Platypus for President. So I wanted to take you to that site so you could see how that is. So if you look on here, you go down to Platypus for President and it tells you the story about what happens. You can get a little bit of background. It shows lock combinations. So I'll go ahead and show you those so that you know the answers. And it shows you a game explanation so you can see how they're determining the locks on here. And then there also are reflection questions, which we haven't used. So I wanted to go into this game so that you can see how it works. There's a couple of things that we've determined that I'm going to say before we start the game that you need to be aware of. One of them is that you really need to pre-screen the games before you have your child do them. Some of them, in my mind and in other IGNITE teachers' minds, don't make complete sense. So you need to make sure that it's a good game, but there are a lot of good games on the site. The other thing that we have found, especially in the situation that we're in, may not be the same for you, but like this game, you can't go out of order lock-wise. I can't click onto these locks and skip it. So if you get stuck on a lock, you can't move on. And for us being online, that's been pretty difficult for students. So we started really selecting games that you can open the locks in any order so that if you get stuck on one lock, you're not stuck through the whole game. So Platypus for President. You've been chosen to help run Penelope the Platypus's presidential campaign. It's been a huge job and the end is near. Can you help Penelope win the presidential election in these final days? Platypus for President. Okay, then I'm going to go on this first lock. And it takes a little while to do these. As with anything that you're starting new, you kind of have to train your mind. But some of the things that you want to do is you want to always look at what you're looking at for a lock. So this is going to be a color combination. You know that there's going to be 5 different answers in the color combination. These are all clues. And it says you need to help pass out flyers and bumper stickers to spread the word that Penelope is running for president. And if you look over here, here are the flyers, and I can blow those up by just clicking on it so that you can see. Does anybody have an idea of what we might do for colors? You don't have to put your face on, you could just use your voice and pick something.
The borders, the border colors?
The border colors. So how will we, that's a great start. How will we know what order to put them in?
Alphabetical?
Numbers.
Okay, alphabetical is a good idea. Numbers are a good idea. If you look at these, and I'm just going to help you out. So this one has the number 1, and this one has the number 2, and this one has the number 3, number 4, and number 5. So it's in that order. So 1 is red, 2 is orange, 3 is gray, 4 is black, and 5 is blue. Yay, we solved that one. Okay, so this one is a map. It says it takes time to take the campaign on the road. Penelope has to travel all over the country to gain more followers. And again, this is a great thing to have your students or your children work with, and you can help them, and it's okay to be stuck and, you know, come back to it if you can't figure it out. But it helps to blow these up. I forgot to tell you, we're doing directions. We're going to do 5 different directions.
And it's pretty tiny.
Can you see it?
Well, it's pretty tiny.
Okay, so I'm going to help you out on this one. This is the one that the kids all got stuck on. So this is the campaign route. And in order to determine what order to do it in, do you see how there's underlines underneath these letters? So you would start with the first letter of the alphabet that's underlined, which is California. So you would go from California to Indiana because the D is underlined. So from California to Indiana, you are going to go ahead and go right. And then from Indiana to Tennessee, because the E in Tennessee is underlined, you're going to go down. From Tennessee to Florida, because the F in Florida is underlined, you're going to go down again. And then the next one is Michigan, because the G is underlined. So from Florida to Michigan, you're going to go up. And then the next one from Michigan to South Dakota, and you're going to go left. So one thing that we've told our students when they do this is to keep a pad and a pencil with them, because you'll try lock combinations, they won't work. You need to work on other ones. So this is the president, a principal, the first person in the line. And it's a combination. You can't see that it's actually a letter combination, and there's 6 letters. So if you look at this, anybody have it yet?
Mary Ann does. She thinks it's leader.
So you look at the blue letters and you unscramble them, and it's leader. Okay, and then the last one. These are really fun. I mean, they're fun for me. If I work on something and I think it's fun, then I make the kids have to do it. Okay, so this one says citizens are lining up to vote, and they wear their buttons to show their support for their favorite candidate. And if you look down here, we have a 3-number combination. And on this one, we have Penelope, and we have Dorothy the dolphin. And if you look, should I tell them or just wait?
Well, my view, it's pretty tiny. It's like 1/4 of the screen. So
really?
So okay, JK wrote colors on collar.
Yes. So if you look and you count these out, there are 12 pink ones and there are 5 blue ones. So if we put in 12 and 5, that's it. We win. Mm-hmm. So it's really it really is a fun activity for the kids. So, and again, just a reminder that there are answers built into all the games, and there are clues built into all the games. Oops, wrong one. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about those before we go on?
Robin, I just wanted to say that we really liked those. If he got stuck, we would do it together as a family.
That's awesome.
And I think that's a legitimate way to do it. We did tell students they could do that, that they could work together with their family. We said you could work with siblings. It didn't matter to us. It's the matter of the process of going through and thinking it through and reasoning it. Okay. The other thing that I do think it's my turn. The other thing I wanted to share, we wanted to share, is that we have a lot of games in our classroom. I wanted to start with card games, but really one thing is games are often overlooked, and games are a great way to teach educational standards. We could do anything from social emotional learning to math and logic to language arts and games. And Erin and I, when we were working many years ago, brought games to a family math and science night. And one of the things that we had to do was write down all of the Alaska standards that we were meeting by playing the games. And they meet way more standards than you can even imagine. And we're going to show you a bunch of different games, but one thing that I want you to keep in mind is that a simple deck of cards, you can play so many games with just a simple deck of cards. And here is a site that you can look at for a bunch of different card games, but really on the internet, you can go to many different places and find great card games. So we have a deck of cards, we have Uno, we have Blink, we have Skip-Bo, Phase 10, 5 Crowns, and Set. They're all awesome card games. Not really sure where to put people, okay? And then these are dice games. Erin, do you want to do these?
Okay, so Robin recently purchased the one all the way on the right. That one is called Shut the Box. Is that right, Robin?
Yeah.
Yep. And what we do is we try and buy these in a class set so that we have the games going on at the same time. We go over the instructions because, as we talked about previously, gifted kids like to make up their own rules. I guess maybe all kids do. So we'll go over the game rules, then we'll play these games. So you can see Yahtzee, Farkle, 10Z, Shut the Box. And then these are the tile games that we have in our classroom. The dominoes, Quirkle, and then Tantrix. And Tantrix is a little bit complicated, but for some people, they really enjoy it. Okay, then we have the Catan, Rummy Cube, and the Bananagrams. Sequence, the Apples to Apples Junior, and Skippity. And some of these games, when I'm trying to get class sets, I'll go to Value Village. People will clean out their kids' games and send these pristine games over to places like Value Village. So a lot of these games you're gonna spend $30, $40 on. You can get it on the thrift if you're trying to build up your collection.
Sometimes Fred Meyer has buy two, get one free as well. Not to promote any store, but we watch things like that for our gifted funds so that we can make it go as far as possible.
Yeah, it helps. So, and we pulled these as these are student favorites when we let them pick. The Qubits is an excellent game because it can be played solo or you can have 4 players. It can be played as a competitive game or as just as an independent game. And there's also, for if you have a child that is a really spatial child, they are quickly going to go through this regular Qubits. There is a Qubits Extreme. So some of our kids, that's a fave for them. The Suspend is a neat game. Blockus with the Pentominoes, that's an excellent strategy game. And then Mancala. Kids love Mancala. And we do go over official rules for that.
And I want to say that is true. Like when you talk about people making up their own rules, I've never seen anything like the craziness that comes with Mancala. And so I say we are only playing Ignite rule Mancala because I don't even understand their rules. They don't make sense to me. It's like one person just keeps going and going and going, and I just don't get it. So yeah. The other thing I wanted to let you know is that we have some resources and websites available. And I'm going to see if I can switch to that. So I have shared this with Katrina, and if you're interested, she can share it with you. This was compiled by one of the IGNITE teachers, Dr. Jillian Gates, and I kind of put it together in page format so that you could see it, but it has a bunch of different gifted websites and other resources that you can use. So it might be worth going through and looking at some of those. Okay, do you have any questions?
Well, I put off a few people from asking questions, so I will ask their questions now. But the first is, yes, I will send you that beautiful document that Robin just showed, so you'll all get that. But one of the questions we had was, if a child was not participating in IGNITE this year because of schedule conflicts or various reasons, will they be able to participate next year, and if so, how?
They will be able to, if they're still in elementary school, they will contact the IGNITE teacher, and then the IGNITE teacher will contact the gifted office to reactivate that student's file.
Another question, it was a comment and a question. A principal had remarked to a family that IGNITE was just a bonus, and the family was wondering how they could make their voice heard, that IGNITE was important, how they can make sure that IGNITE will be around next year. And then the next question that followed is, will IGNITE be around next year?
Well, that question came from somebody who I know the principal for, and that's a very difficult situation. Different principals have different beliefs, and we do the best that we can. I think it involves IGNITE parents standing up for the program and the importance of the program. As Erin said earlier, just like special ed students are below grade level in different areas, IGNITE students are above grade level, and every student, and the district believes this, that every student has a right to make a year of growth each year or more. And so if your student is above grade level, they still have a right to make a year of growth, even if that keeps them above grade level. And then as far as, what was the second part?
About
it's going to be next year. We heard that due to the CARES Act, am I right?
Yes.
Due to the CARES Act, IGNITE will be fully funded next year. It wasn't going to be. The reason that hasn't gone out to parents yet is because there has to be a final board approval on the budget before we can really make that announcement. But we are under the understanding that that is the case, that we will be fully funded next year. But as parents, in order to keep IGNITE, we teachers don't have as much say as parents do.
And
not
yeah.
next, but future years.
And we know a year ago, parents came in and saved the program. They testified, they wrote letters, and we were given this year. And then, as Robin said, this year we were notified there was going to be a 50% reduction. And then the CARES Fund Act came through, and then we were notified, okay, for next year, it will be funded as long as approved, the budget's approved by the board. So that's where we are right now. We're coming up into that budget session. So fingers crossed.
We should know by mid-March, I think, is when the budget goes through.
Yeah. Is there something parents can do to speak up for IGNITE or to help?
They can write to the school board and to the superintendent and continue to do that even after this year. Because, obviously we're passionate about it. We've been in the program. Well, I've been in the program 19 years and Erin's been in it 23 years. Is it our 23rd year? Yeah, 23 years. So we're pretty passionate about it. We believe that your children who are gifted have a right to be enriched. So we need your support to make sure that it stays.
Yeah.
Can you give us an idea what's available for children who are not in kindergarten through 6th grade, especially for kids who are in 6th grade this year and going into 7th? What are some gifted options for them?
I know that classes are offered at different levels. So you could have like an advanced language arts class, an advanced science class. You can have different levels of math classes that you take. There were some questions that you had sent regarding mentorship, and we do not, Erin and I do not do mentorship, but the person who you can contact for high school mentorship is Treese Hanley. And so she's under the school district email, HANLEY_TREECE, Treese Hanley. And she's the person who is organizing the mentorship. I've heard that that program again this year is having some challenges because of COVID and social distancing, but when everything gets back to closer to normal, that also will be back to normal. And I do know that kids are being placed in mentorship this year, just it's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not an expert, I'm just a mom, but something I did for my son when he entered middle school is I sought out my neighborhood school for higher math courses, like for algebra or geometry. Although they're not specifically IGNITE classes, those are ways that you can connect your gifted student with a group of like-minded students. And so yes, remember with Family Partnership, you can take up to 3 neighborhood school classes. So that's a great way to connect. And we have another question in the chat box about maybe non-ASD, but community groups that might be good for middle school and high school gifted students to connect with. If you guys have any ideas, suggestions?
I don't. I think Treese Hanley might be the good person to talk to about that. That would be the person who I would contact and ask, because that is her specialty area. And I agree with signing your students up for specific classes. I've had kids come in not just for IGNITE, but I had a 6th grader one year come to my school for both IGNITE and for band. And I know that I've had kids who have been homeschooled all along and just come to IGNITE. And when they went to middle school, they did the same thing as what you were saying, Katrina. They went to take a math class and maybe some other classes at the middle school level, so that they weren't taking all of their work there, but some classes there.
Mm-hmm. I'm seeing the comment about ASD would not offer pre-algebra for 6th graders this year. I'm surprised because isn't that Calvert, like an online course that kids could take? There might be some, it might only be online, and I'm not sure what it's going to look like next school year. Like what Katrina was saying, if your 6th grader going into 7th, if they are able and they're ready for that algebra, that puts them, that's their 9th grade level math class. Then they would go in, they would take the geometry. So they're actually able to get high school credit if they're in that algebra or in that geometry through the middle school, if they're ready for those courses.
Yeah, so if you're a member of Family Partnership, your 6th grader can take whatever math they want in the 6th grade. So I think that that might be a neighborhood school specific problem. So I'm sorry, but Family Partnership lets you do that.
I think most neighborhood schools don't have that option in school. I know that Rogers Park Highly Gifted program, I think, offers higher level math classes in school. I know when I was at North Star Elementary, they were letting students walk across the street to take a 0 hour over at Stellar to take a higher level math class. And I know that one year they did try to have students stay in school for math in their regular classroom, and it didn't work very well. One year at the school that I'm currently at, they had a parent come in to help teach that upper level class, but most of the time those classes have been online.
Okay, guys, did I miss any questions from the chat box, or do you have any more questions for these amazingly gifted ladies here?
I have a question. If we rule out like testing wise, like we're just not able to go in, are these like the options that you've showed, some of these website and stuff, is a good start if we're doing homeschool? These are good things that we could probably slowly introduce to our kids and see how they react to those sources without knowing like fundamentally the tests and all that. Would that be something we could kind of gauge on our own as well?
Yes, and you could do passion projects, what they're interested in doing. You can work on open-ended activities where they can, you know, if you pick topics that there's no correct answer, just like areas of study, it's easier to work on open-ended projects with them. But yes.
Okay, and then you popped up another question, which was really good, and I just lost it. Hold on one second. Nope, I'll come back if I remember, because I had it and I lost it when I was writing my note.
Well, while you're thinking about that, there are some homeschooling curriculums that are made specifically for gifted children, and one of those is Moving Beyond the Page. So if you have a gifted child and you haven't checked out Moving Beyond the Page, it has a lot of the things that they gave to us in that curriculum breakdown that gifted kids need. So you could always take a unit of Moving Beyond the Page and try that with your kids to see if that would be a good fit for curriculum.
So there's a question about the online resources and the games mentioned. So this, we are being recorded right now. So everything in our slides are recorded. And then we did give Katrina a copy of the online, all the online sites. And so she will be able to share those with you.
Yes, when I send out the recording, I will attach the resources that they've mentioned, and I'll also attach that really cool document that she scrolled through really quickly. You just made us tempted. That's what you did, Robin. Now we all want to read it. We do have some Moving Beyond the Page in the Family Partnership Library to look at, but I'm not sure if we have any for you to take and use at home, but there is some for you to look at in the teacher resource section. And I just want to say thank you to Erin and Robin for taking time out to create this wonderful workshop, and then to take time out of your Friday evening to answer all our questions and to teach us all about gifted students. This was so helpful, so informative. I can't thank you enough for doing this for our families. So we are super thankful for you. I hope all the rest of you have a wonderful Friday night. And again, by tomorrow, I'll have all this sent out to you. So be watching for it in your emails.
Yep.
Have a great night, everybody.
We appreciate everybody attending. Thank you.
Thank you.